Right now, somewhere in this city, someone might be riding a motorbike with an entire refrigerator strapped to the back. A kid could be crossing the street in the middle of speeding traffic, and a karaoke party could be blasting at full volume at midnight. All at once, all in the same city. All three look completely normal, and all three are technically illegal. I'm Vietnamese, and today I'm going to show you 10 things like this, where the line between normal and illegal gets so blurry, nobody even notices anymore. Before we get into the list, an important note: this isn't a video encouraging anyone to break the law, and it's not meant to criticize Vietnam's legal system either. In most countries, there's always a gap between the law on paper and how it plays out in real life. Vietnam isn't an exception. Honestly, plenty of other countries are exactly the same. One more thing worth saying: regulations can change over time, and how strictly they're enforced in practice is often very different from what's written down. If you're planning to live or work here long-term, always double-check the latest rules yourself. This video is meant to share a cultural perspective, not serve as legal advice. 1. Carrying oversized loads on a motorbike. You've seen this in a previous episode. Motorbikes hauling refrigerators, sheets of glass, even potted plants taller than the rider. It looks like an impressive skill, but under current traffic regulations, a motorbike carrying cargo that exceeds the allowed width or height relative to the vehicle is technically a punishable offense. On paper, traffic police have every right to pull the rider over and issue a fine. In reality, this happens every single day, in every city, and it's rarely enforced, unless it creates an obvious danger to others on the road. It's the textbook example of that gap between law and reality I just mentioned. 2. Riding without properly wearing a helmet. Vietnamese law requires helmets when riding a motorbike, and this one's genuinely enforced, fairly strictly, on major roads. But you'll still see children under a certain age riding sandwiched between their parents without a helmet. Regulations do carve out exceptions for young children, though the exact age has shifted over time. Or adults wearing a helmet that's never actually buckled, worn just for show. Technically, that doesn't meet the safety standard the law is aiming for, even though it's hard to get fined when there's technically a helmet on your head. The line between actually following the law and just going through the motions gets pretty blurry here. I once saw someone wearing a helmet from a construction site, unbuckled, just similar enough in color to pass as a real motorbike helmet. Technically, a helmet was worn. In terms of actual safety, might as well have been a rice cooker. 3. Crossing the street outside the designated crosswalk. In the US, jaywalking can come with a pretty hefty fine in some states. In Vietnam, crossing outside a marked crosswalk is technically illegal too, but almost nobody gets fined for it, even doing it right in front of a traffic cop. With motorbike traffic this dense and pedestrian signals this rare, crossing the right way is sometimes actually harder than crossing on pure instinct. Plenty of foreign visitors treat learning how to cross the street in Vietnam as a kind of rite of passage. 4. Karaoke and portable speakers blasting past legal hours. Tin karaoke and portable speakers blasting past legal hours. In a lot of Vietnamese neighborhoods, wedding music, birthday parties, or just a neighbor singing karaoke through a portable speaker can carry for hundreds of meters, often well into the night. Under noise regulations, exceeding the allowed volume during nighttime quiet hours, the exact hours vary depending on the locality and the type of violation, is a punishable offense. But in practice, this is one of the most common violations that almost never gets punished, unless someone directly reports it and things escalate. For a lot of foreigners who've lived in Vietnam a while, weekend karaoke speaker noise is basically an unavoidable part of urban life. 5. Street vendors occupying the sidewalk. Most of the street food culture I covered in a previous video, the little plastic stools, the sidewalk stalls, is technically encroaching on public space meant for pedestrians, which violates urban order regulations in most cities. Crackdowns to reclaim the sidewalk for pedestrians happen occasionally in big cities, and during those, you'll see food stalls temporarily move inside or shrink their setups. But a few weeks later, everything usually goes right back to normal. It's one of the more interesting paradoxes. The very thing that gives Vietnamese street food its identity in the eyes of the world is, technically, not quite by the book. There's a slightly ironic truth here. If the government decided tomorrow to enforce sidewalk regulations 100%, the street food culture the whole world loves about Vietnam would probably disappear along with it. That's why looking the other way is sometimes a deliberate choice, not just laxness. 6. Playing cards for small stakes among family and friends. Gambling in any form, including small stakes card games with relatives during holidays, technically falls under gambling restrictions, aside from a few specially licensed exceptions. But during Lunar New Year, almost every household has a small card game going among family members, and socially, this is treated more as tradition than as breaking the law. It's extremely rare for this kind of family entertainment to ever get penalized. 7. Flying a drone without permission. With drones now common for travel and content creation, a lot of people, tourists and creators alike, fly them freely to capture beautiful scenery. But under current regulations, flying a drone in Vietnam requires prior permission in certain areas, especially near military zones, airports, or sensitive sites. And these rules can change over time. If you're planning to fly a drone, this is the one thing you absolutely need to look up yourself, using the most current official regulations, rather than relying on this video to tell you exactly where it's allowed. This is the one item on this list where my advice is, don't just take this video's word for it. Check the official, up-to-date regulations before you fly. 8. Exchanging currency at gold shops instead of banks. Many Vietnamese families exchange foreign currency or trade USD at private gold shops instead of banks, something I touched on in a previous video about trusting gold over banks. In theory, foreign currency exchange is only supposed to happen through officially licensed institutions, and trading currency freely at an unlicensed gold shop is technically against the rules. But this is an extremely common habit that has existed alongside the formal banking system for decades, and it's rarely enforced for small, personal-scale transactions. This habit actually reflects exactly what I said in an earlier video. Vietnamese people trust what they can hold in their hands, gold, cash, more than they trust the system. And gold shops, despite having no foreign exchange license, are exactly where that trust has lived for decades, long before modern banking became widespread. 9. Keeping certain wild animals as pets. Some people enjoy keeping birds, reptiles, or small wild animals, caught from the wild or bought without a clear origin, as house pets. Under wildlife protection regulations, keeping many of these species, especially ones on protected lists, is illegal and can carry serious penalties depending on the species and quantity. This is one of the more serious violations on this list compared to the others, and it's being cracked down on more and more as conservation awareness grows. 10. Using public Wi-Fi to stream pirated content. Watching movies or listening to music from unlicensed websites is common for a huge number of people in Vietnam, almost a normal entertainment habit. Under intellectual property law, this technically violates copyright and could, in theory, be prosecuted. But holding individual viewers accountable almost never happens in practice, which makes the line between violation and normal incredibly blurry in the public's mind. So what connects all 10 of these? It's a lesson that isn't unique to Vietnam. There's always a gap between law on paper and culture in real life. It exists everywhere. The only question is how big that gap is, and what a society chooses to look the other way on. So if you're planning a trip to Vietnam, what does this actually mean? It doesn't mean you should break the law just because everyone does it. It means understanding that leniency and enforcement here doesn't mean the law doesn't exist. And for a few things on this list, especially drones and wildlife, how seriously they're enforced can be completely different from the rest. This is exactly why understanding a culture isn't just about reading its laws. It's about understanding how a society actually operates behind those words. And if I'm being honest, as someone Vietnamese, born and raised here, before I sat down to research this video, I only knew for certain that maybe 3 or 4 of these were actually illegal. The rest, just like you, I only knew because everyone does it. This is just 10 out of many fascinating gaps between law and real life in Vietnam that I could tell you about. If this video surprised you, wait for the next one, where I'll tell you about the exact opposite. Things considered totally illegal in your country, but completely normal in Vietnam. Subscribe, and I'll take you deeper into the real Vietnam. Not the version on paper, in a book,